Hi, I'm Richard Wilford. I work at Kew Gardens and I've been here about 30 years now. But my current role is Manager of Garden Design. So I work on projects throughout the gardens, designing borders, designing new gardens. And obviously photography is an important part of that role. So I've been into photography since I was a teenager really. And I got my first SLR camera when I was 18, taking slides mostly. And I was always into kind of outdoor photography, landscapes and gardens. My mum was a great gardener, so that was a great subject to our garden at home. But it's really when I got the job at Kew that I really got into plant photography. You know, being surrounded by all these amazing plants, it was a great opportunity to kind of practice my skills at plant photography. It was 2008 before I got a digital SLR, which was a Pentax K200. And since then, I've used Pentax cameras ever since. So I'm currently using a Pentax KP, and I think it's a great camera because it's compact, it's well built, it's weather sealed, which is really important when you're out and about in the gardens. A passing shower I don't have to worry about. On a hot day, if I walk into sprinklers that are irrigating the gardens, I don't have to worry about that either. I tend not to use a tripod on a daily basis because I'm going from one part of the gardens to the other and I'm taking photos of the projects I'm working on, so I just carry it with me as part of the job. So I don't have time to set up a tripod and take pictures. One of the great advantages of the KP and other Pentax cameras is the image stabilisation, which is really important. And I just go around, and if I'm inspired by something, I'll take a picture of it. If I get some nice light, if the sun comes out, or you get some nice shadows, I'll try and take photos of plants as I see them, as I'm going from one project to another. So this is the 35mm macro limited lens. It's my first limited lens, and I love it. I love the image quality that comes from this is brilliant. It's got really good colour, really good contrast, and it's really sharp. And I love the fact it's macro as well. So I can get close up to plants if I need to, but I can also use it as a general normal lens on an APS-C sensor. It's kind of a normal field of view. Another lens I really like using is the 50-135 DA Star lens. It's got fantastic quality again, but it's got a really good zoom range. I tend to be more into telephoto rather than wide angle in my photography, getting close up to particular views I see. I find this really useful. And again, it just has fantastic image quality, and again, it's weather sealed, so it's perfect for garden photography. If I really had to pick a favourite, it would definitely be a limited lens, and I imagine it would be this one, the 20-40. It's just got that bit of flexibility in the zoom range that makes it really useful for kind of outdoor garden photography. And it's like other limited lenses, it's beautifully made, metal, and this one's weather sealed as well, so it's fantastic. When I'm out in the gardens taking photographs, I really like to do it early in the morning if possible, or late in the day when the light is so much softer. You get the sun low in the sky, you get lovely effects from the shadows. So that's kind of my top tip really, is to choose a time of day when the lighting is really good. I also play a bit with depth of field, try and get a narrow depth of field to highlight a particular flower, or you want a big depth of field if you're doing a kind of general garden shot. So it's choosing the depth of field is quite important as well. I play around a lot with exposure compensation. So on the KP we have the third dial, which I find really useful. So I set the front dial to sensitivity, the back dial for aperture, because I use aperture priority, and the third dial I have exposure compensation, so I can easily under or overexpose an image. If you're taking a picture of a flower against the sky, for example, you need to overexpose it to lift the shadows in the image. And I use that probably the second most after aperture. That's the dial I use the most. I find it really useful. So it's great, I don't have to dive into the menus all the time to change things like that. So I think the plants I like photographing the most really depends on the season. So in the winter I'll take pictures of snowdrops, for example. In the early summer, the alliums, the ornamental onions, are really amazing flowers to take pictures of, especially if you've got a group of them that stretch off into the distance. Then autumn's a fantastic time with the autumn colour. So it does depend on the season. When I take pictures at home, there are plants in the garden that really look good at certain times of year, like foxgloves are fantastic in early summer. And they really highlight the light, and the low sun will pick out the shape of the foxglove. And I just think things like that, plant in your own garden for different seasons, and you'll have something to photograph all year round. So plant some snowdrops, plant some daffodils, try and get some foxgloves maybe, just to extend the season in the garden.